Hello class. Today we're going to cover the Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act and also material safety data sheets. The Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act was passed in 1976, and it was made to ensure that communities would be able to access the information about the chemicals that are being used and also made by businesses in their community. Now, we know, most of you, unless you've been living under a rock, know that a few weeks ago we had a spill in West Virginia that leaked into the Elk River, and a lot of those chemicals, the people didn't even know a couple of those chemicals that were in the river. And until the authorities found out what they were, they told them they couldn't bathe, they couldn't drink the water, they couldn't even touch the water, wash their clothes, wash dishes, none of that until they found out exactly what it was. It leaked into the water supply. So the community needed to know what those chemicals were. They do have a right to know that. The Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act, or EPCRA, was passed to protect and inform the citizens of the communities who have companies that manufacture, store, and use those hazardous chemicals in their neighborhoods. So they usually have something like a town hall meeting, and the companies talk about the chemicals and the dangers that may come along with them, and then the citizens have a right to petition or speak to the city council and to the mayor to decide, help them decide whether they're going to let these companies operate in their communities. Now, although a company may, they can withhold a percent of the chemical used to make the formula because of trade secret laws. They don't want to tell everything that's in their formulas, but they must still report what chemicals went into that formula if it's hazardous. So they don't have to tell you the percentage of the chemicals that went in the actual formula, but they have to tell you what they put in the chemical to make up the formula. Now, all chemicals must have a material safety data sheet on them, and any reportable spill quantity must be reported. Any member of the community can request a report of what chemicals are in their communities as reported on the material safety data sheets. Now, we're going to talk about their reporting, then we'll get back to the material safety data sheets. But when you report, when reporting the chemicals that's on their property, companies use what they call a Tier 1 or Tier 2 form. A Tier 1 form is a report that they must do once a year, and it's a list of all the hazardous chemicals on the company property. So they have to just do an extensive report, do inventory, and and fill out Tier 1 form about all the chemicals on the property. All the information on a Tier 1 must be made available to the public. So whatever is on that Tier 1 form, the public has a right to know about it. Now, Tier 2 form is a lot more involved, and it must be updated as the type and the quantity of the chemicals change. So when your formulation changes, or the amount that you're using changes, or you get new chemicals, then you must update your Tier 2 form. It includes the chemical types, the quantities, the locations where they are at the facility, whether they're on the west side, the east side, upstairs, downstairs, the names and the addresses of contact personnel. So if there's a problem or a spill, there has to be someone, a good number that you can contact, someone, a manager or somebody, a safety personnel at the location, so that they can advise you on those chemicals. Now, the operators of the facilities, most of the time, they tend to want to fill out a Tier 2 form. Now, it's more involved, but a lot of the information that's on the Tier 2 form is not available to the public. So really, when they fill out the tier 2 form, they go to emergency personnel like police and fire and first responders, so that they'll know what kind of chemicals you have at your premises, and also the kind of chemicals, how do you handle those chemicals in emergency situations. So a lot of them will do tier 2 so that the public won't know exactly what's going on, but emergency personnel will. Now also, we'll talk about a reportable quantity. That's a quantity, an amount that you must report. Now, if you have a spill on land, it's a reportable quantity if it's 5 or more barrels, and that's like 210 gallons. So however many of those 55-gallon drums of it you have, you must report if it's 210 gallons. Now, if it's that's 55 gallons, that's about, if you do more than 3, if you leak more than 3 of those barrels, you need to report it. Now, if there is an oil spill directly into a body of water that can be navigated or leads to one that can be navigated, then it must be reported if it makes a sheen on the surface of the water. So just about any type of oil spill or gasoline spill or chemical spill will, if it's not heavier than the water, it will make a sheen on the water. So if it goes into water that's a navigable body of water, then it must be reported. Material safety data sheets. And what is that? Well, a material safety data sheet is a document that contains information on potential hazards that each chemical contains. It could be a health hazard, a fire hazard. If you mix it with something else, that's reactivity. If it mixes with something else, it gives you something dangerous, like Clorox is kind of dangerous. Ammonia is kind of dangerous. But if you mix those two together, you get a poisonous gas. So those type of things will be on material safety data sheets, or should be. Also, any environmental dangers. If you spill it on the ground, it's going to kill trees, or if you spill it in the lake, it's going to kill all the fish or the ducks. So, and how to work safely around those chemicals products. Any safety equipment, gloves, you must have 2 pair of gloves, or you must use breathing apparatus or safety goggles, those kind of things. The material safety data sheet contains much more information about the material than the label. So a lot of times on the labels you read, when you get things off the shelf and bring them home, it'll tell you just be careful and don't drink it, keep it away from kids. But a material safety data sheet will tell you a lot more than that. Now, also, material safety data sheets are prepared by the supplier or the manufacturer. So they come from whoever makes the material, whoever sells the material. If you store the material, you need to have material safety data sheets. But the supplier or the manufacturer are where they originate from. Now, this is intended to tell what hazards the products have or carry, the safety, how do you work safely around the product, what to expect if you misuse the product, and also if you have an accident, what to do, how to recognize if somebody is having problems because of these eyes burning, nose burning. You may be short of breath, or your skin may start turning red. So what to do in these cases. I remember a story, I didn't actually see it myself, but this guy was working with some kind of chemical. I believe it was to take some kind of, it really wasn't some kind of stripper, but it was more of a pasty type stuff. I guess you can say spackling or something that you put over drywall. What do they call that stuff? I don't know. They make houses, stucco type stuff. But anyway, it was not irritating to his skin until he went home and took a shower, and it really gave him an irritation. Well, with water, it was reactive. That chemical was reactive to water until, so it really irritated his skin. So they found out that's what it was. So those things would have been on a material safety data sheet. Now, some of the things that are on a material safety data sheet, I think it's about 9 things. You'll have product information that would tell you the product name, who made it, the emergency phone numbers, the hazardous ingredients, the things that can harm you that's inside that it's made of. Physical data, is it greasy? Is it watery? Is it like a solid? Would it cause a fire, or can it explode if it gets around a flame? Reactivity means that if you mix it with something else or you sit it in the sun, does it react with heat? Or if you let air get to it, will something happen to it? Toxicological, that means poisonous. Health effects, will it soak through your skin and get to you? Or if you breathe it, would it get in your brain? Or if you drink it, would it kill you? Or something like that. So if you waste it or you spill it and it goes into a lake, what would happen to the vegetation or the fish or the turtles in there? So those would be on there, that information. Preventive measures, safety precautions, basically. What measures you need to take to protect yourself and the environment and those around you from being harmed by this chemical. Also, first aid measures. If you splash it in your eye, do you need to go to emergency right then? Or if you put it in your eye, most people will run and put water. Well, you need to know, would water make it worse? Or could you just leave it? Or what do you need to do? Also, preparation information. Who's responsible for preparing and the date of the preparation of the material safety data sheets. So if they're out of date or is something missing or something that you need to know, then you can call those people that prepared it and see if you can get more information on it. Now, employers' responsibility. Now, in most industrial settings or any place that you have industrial settings, I guess you could say, basically, in plants and manufacturing plants, employers usually have material safety data sheets in a binder in different parts of the plant to where you can find them. They may have one copy up in the office somewhere for those people up there, but typically they're back in the areas where the employees will be working with those chemicals. Now, the employers must make sure, and that's their responsibility, to make sure that all controlled products have an up-to-date material safety data sheet. That means every 3 years they must be updated when it comes to the workplace. So if it's over 3 years old, when it gets there, they need to call and tell them to send a new one, send one more up to date. The material safety data sheet must be readily available to workers who are exposed to the controlled product and to health and safety committee or representative. So your safety committee should have access to them. Also, people that's going to be working in and around those different chemicals. If a controlled product is made in the workplace, then the employer has a duty to prepare a material safety data sheet for any of these products. So if you're mixing up things at your job, then your employer must make a material safety data sheet and let you know what you're working with and the safety procedures involved with working with that product. Well, that's the end. Go to your assignments. I'm going to post an assignment over there. So if you hadn't gone there already, after looking at this, go watch a short video I put over there about West Virginia, and then also get your assignment for this week. Have a good one. Thanks. Bye.